And boom, monkeys, we are live back on the Crypto Boogie channel, episode 8. Um, where if you hear explosions in the background, that's the fireworks going off in the background. I love freedom. So we're around the corner from July 4th. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your weekend with your family, having a long ass weekend. Hence why I am making a freaking stream at 10 p.m. I'm actually pulling off a Miguel. I'm pulling off a DCC, making a late evening freaking doggone stream. And the first person on the chat today, the first person that made it on board is my homie, freaking large and in charge. What's up, Doc? How you doing, amigo? You haven't been on stream for a while, dude. Figured you probably freaking grinding it out trying to make that dinero to buy some freaking pulse chain, that P hex and shit. You know what I'm saying? Stand by. Let's see. Bear with me, large and in charge. Yeah, you made it, homie. You made it. I'm trying to figure this shit out. Bear with me, man. How the hell do I freaking highlight your message? Did it last week, but nevertheless, we are here. Some of the topics we're gonna cover today. Probably gonna go over a couple charts. There's really not a lot of data happening right now. Not a lot of shit going on right now, except with a couple freaking things that Richard Hart's posting freaking on his Twitter and things of that nature. He's shilling freaking Pepe, shilling freaking BTC and Pulse Chain, and the community's freaking liking that shit. I think it's kind of freaking cool. So, without further ado, monkeys, let's check out the charts. Don't drink too much tequila this weekend, by the way. Vamos a ver Bitcoin. That means let's check out BTC to see how that sucker's doing. Sorry about that. Let's check out Bitcoin and see how the BTC chart's doing. StreamYard present. So we are looking at the BTC chart. We're seeing how it's running and shit. Freaking, we may be going to the upside. Of course, we're on the daily. And if you notice this area over here where we have this circle, if you look at the relative strength index, let me go ahead and set that up for you cats. RSI. You look at the relative strength index. I don't like this freaking yellow ass freaking line here. Let me fix this for you cats. Take that shit off. Hit OK. It did seem that we were overheated. And if you look at the circle that I placed over here, we have a circle down here to the downside, because I thought we were going to end up dipping, for the reason being that the RSI was touching the top of the RSI. And currently it looks like we're trending sideways. We are currently on the 16-day cycle. Well, on the Bitcoin chart, on the Bitcoin 60-day cycle, we're on day 16. Now, if you could see this measuring bar down here, that means we are currently at 16 days. Either we hit a new lower low or a new higher high, usually around day 45, give or take. We will know exactly where we're at day 45. I'm thinking we're probably going to pump a little bit harder. Why do I think that? Because the next FOMC meeting isn't for a while. I think it comes around on the 26th or the 27th. Let me just make sure I'm showing you cats the right freaking screen. You know what I'm saying? I am showing you the right screen. So yeah, as stated, we will probably cap out somewhere around day 45 or so. We will know where we're going to be at around day 45, and we're probably going to run pretty hard to the upside. Reason being, FOMC meetings a good ways away, but I wasn't just solely going to show you Bitcoin. Of course, majority of us cats in here, we're hexicans, we're pulsicans, we're into the PulseX freaking. We're also into the PulseX token. And some of you degens out there aped into some freaking Pepe, including myself. So those are the charts we're going to cover today. Unless you guys want to see a certain type of freaking cryptocurrency that you want me to cover on the charts if I could find it. But going back to the Bitcoin chart, let's see how we're doing with the EMA ribbon. And my Bitcoin chart is acting stupid. Oh, damn it. Bear with me, cats. Bear with me. Well, my EMA ribbon seemed to disappear, but nevertheless, shit's acting stupid. Well, we'll come back to the BTC chart. Let's move on to something you cats want to see, of course, Pulse Chain. I'm hoping you guys are aping in. Right now is a good time to be buying PLS, and I'm dollar cost averaging in. Of course, when we do end up getting a dip, a lot of times I end up aping in a little bit harder. Let me show you cats that screen. And then we got Large and in charge. All right, Vato. What's up, homie? Always Large and in charge. Weren't you doing trucking and stuff like that, man? That's a freaking very honorable fucking job, man. If it wasn't for fucking truckers and shit, dude, majority of America would not be freaking fed. And my ass wouldn't be capable of buying fireworks down here. Everybody in the mother here in Texas is popping fireworks, and I fucking love it. It's the only time of the year where you get to legally blow shit up. What's not to like? You know what I'm saying? Share screen. Let's go over here to the pulse chain chart. We got wrap pulse on this bad boy. And this is the daily on the pulse chain chart. Oh, you work the jails, homie. Large and in charge. Dude, that's freaking tough ass work too, man. Putting up with bullshit from freaking all the freaking inmates and stuff, man, giving you shit. People coming in on public intoxication. If you're working local jails and things of that nature, unless you're doing the prison guard stuff. Where it's really hard, from where I've heard from a lot of people, that freaking state prison is freaking bad, man, compared to fucking the feds and shit. And we also got freaking Tex-Mex aquí. ¿Qué onda, carnal? What's up, amigo? You freaking grinding it out too? I'm just showing you cats the freaking pulse chain charts. Now, let me make this a little bit more apparent for you cats, because you got my freaking screen on the side and you can't fully see the pulse chain chart. So let me check. And now we got the freaking pulse chain chart in full view. Now, listening to Charlie, I didn't know this. If you see these numbers here, Bitcoin usually runs on 60-day cycles. Freaking some altcoins, not all of them, are pretty consistent on 20-day cycles. And I got that alpha from listening to freaking Charlie and another homie named Jay. Charlie taught me my basics, and Jay freaking he sharpened up my skills a little bit. Iron sharpens iron, and I picked up on the freaking on the cycles for freaking altcoins. If you see this bar down here, that's the day that Pulse Chain launched. That was on May 16th. And if you stretch it out all the way over here, the local low that we got, or the first immediate low that we got, was on day 15. Our day high was on day 6. Now, from me and measuring these charts, the shortest 20-day cycle I've ever seen on a doggone freaking altcoin has been around 14 days. On average, I get them at about 15, give or take. So we pumped up over here on the freaking on the 6th. That was our higher high with Pulse Chain when we first launched. We came down here to the 15-day mark, and of course that was going to be our lower low. We didn't make it all the way up to day 20, and we pumped back up, went up to day 3. Then that evolved, and this was on June 3rd, and we went down to freaking June 14th, and that was our immediate local low, which was a left translated cycle because we came to the downside. And then we pumped up a little bit here on day 7. I've got this sucker marked as purple because I don't know if we're going to run to the upside or not. Now, if you see these trend lines I have here, if you look at them closely, you're noticing, you can pick up that a lot of these freaking candles are respecting those freaking support resistance levels. As a matter of fact, if I freaking push up on this, you can see that these two candles are within this freaking range of these two support resistance lines. And we got our new candle printing currently on the daily within both of these candles. We could run to the upside. So what my ass did, I went ahead and I bought a little bit more freaking pulse chain. If it runs lower, I'll go ahead and do a dynamic DCA. Dynamic DCAs are a little bit more aggressive than your conventional DCAs. DCAs are usually done on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. Some cats like doing them every 2 days. It's basically whatever ends up tickling your pickle and whatever you like doing. Me, for the most part, sometimes I do freaking bi-weekly DCAs. That's what I like doing. But in the event, like here, when Pulse Chain ran to the downside, I went ahead and I did a dynamic DCA. And that was on, I caught it around this date here. And that was on June 27th. Of course, we went down a little bit lower and then we ran to the upside. But I did put in a little bit more in advance. And I deducted from what I was going to do in my future DCA bi-weekly. So let me give you an example. Let's say I had, I don't know, $4,000 I could DCA bi-weekly. I mean, that would be freaking dope if a lot of us were making that kind of money, you know what I'm saying? And I had $4,000 to DCA bi-weekly. But then we got this dip down here. Then what I would do, I'd grab about 25, 3,500 of those dollars, somewhere around there, and I would buy harder. You know what I'm saying? And then when my bi-weekly mark would be there, I would go ahead and put the rest, which is $500, into Pulse Chain as a regular DCA. Of course, you're never going to be DCA'd perfect. You're never going to have it at its lowest low. But that's probably the best way to get into crypto. When I first got into cryptocurrency, I didn't understand those things. I just bought whenever I freaking got FOMO. And that's not a good way of doing freaking things. That's not a good way of freaking buying crypto. Now, note, all these things that I'm telling you cats and all this data that I'm giving you guys is not financial advice. So, as stated, this is only for educational purposes. But what I'm doing currently, I am DCAing slightly. If we go lower, I'll probably DCA harder. If you see the value of Pulse Chain, if you see currently the value of doggone freaking Pulse Chain right now, we are at 409418. If Bitcoin pumps, we'll probably run up as well, and we'll end up recovering this 0.009914 mark. Let's see where our moving averages are at. If we put up the 10-day moving average, we could see that we have a little bit of resistance to the upside. And I don't think 50 will have much of an effect on the daily chart on this sucker. But if we put up our Bollinger Bands, it's pretty much neutral. Let me turn off this 10 moving average. And we on this Bollinger Band, you could see that we're about to hit the upside on this. This will be our first form of resistance, and we could go down or we could go up. So I think your conventional DCA is good. It's good to go. But then again, we are almost at the end of our 20-day cycle. So let's go ahead and measure this sucker. So when you cats want to measure the time frame, this is a cool tool where you can grab it from. It's in this area over here. And if you hit the little star on it, the date range and the price range, it'll show up on this bar over here. So let's measure this sucker. This was day 14. So if we measure it from here to here, we got what I think may be our high, which is a 7, which is a 7-day mark. And the most we can push it out is up to frickin' day 20. So somewhere around here, but we can go earlier. And it might be that this day here, if you pull this freaking measuring tool back, that would be day 14. That's the lowest I would go in freaking figuring that this was a freaking a new lower low. Know what I mean, Jelly Bean? And that would be at day 14, give or take. So if this is day 1, of course, this is day 14, but this is day 1 of the new 20-day cycle, we may be running to the upside, pushing up on the upper portion of this Bollinger Band. Let's look at the chat. Let's see what the chat is saying. And we got Larger in charge. Jail's not prison. Yeah, I feel you, homie. Doing the jails thing, man. Dude, that is some annoying shit, bro. Working with those types of people. I've seen what those guys go through, man. That shit is annoying, man. You got freaking real belligerent freaking people that are cycling in and out of jail, especially if you're in a state, man, like Chicago on the south side, bro, or LA in those areas, man. It's got to be horrible working in those freaking jails, dude. And dude, you guys put up with a lot of shit. And then we got Ivan from New Mexico. I made it. Better late than never. Well, you ain't that late, homie. You came in at a good time. Hope you cats are enjoying your July 4th weekend. If there's any cryptocurrency you want me to check out, I'll go ahead and check the charts for you cats. Next up, we're probably going to check out PHEX. Let's see how motherfucking PHEX is doing, son. Vamos a ver. We got motherfucking PHEX here. We got it here on Deck Screener. Let's share this sucker. And this is PHEX. Bear with me, cats. And this is PHEX. Again, as you guys can see, it looks very similar to Pulse Chain as to how Pulse Chain is doing. The measurements seem almost similar because they all launched on the same day and they're all in the same ecosystem. Currently, the low that we got is a day 14. So this would be day 1. We are assuming this would be day 1 because I really do not believe that freaking we're going to get a new local low on the 20-day mark. This would be the first day that we're measuring. Of course, if we were to push it all the way out, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, it would be somewhere around here. I don't think we'll end up getting a new local low. I may be wrong. I got a gut feeling we may be running to the upside. If we put up our freaking moving average, the 10-day moving average, we do have support to the downside as per the 10-day moving average. And we are on the daily. So let's activate the Bollinger Band. See how the Bollinger Band is doing. Again, we've got support to the downside. Now, let's see how this sucker looks with the relative strength index. I don't want the screen to look completely convoluted for you cats. So I'm going to go ahead and freaking take these suckers off. And let's see how we're doing on the RSI, son. If you guys watch my channel, you know this is one of my favorite tools as well. The motherfucking RSI. We're currently at about 48.30. It's an okay price to buy. I usually like buying below freaking 30. Or who doesn't like buying below 30? I'm sorry, below 50. I never really like buying overheated unless my intent is to freaking trade, do an immediate spot trade. That's the only time I like buying the RSI when it pumps up in an aggressive fashion. But currently, it's an okay time to buy. It does look like we're printing a freaking a red candle, so we could go a little bit lower. And who knows? Maybe we do have an Elliott wave on here, an inverse Elliott wave, but we also may be developing a cup and handle. Let me draw that for you cats. Now, I'm not freaking Picasso. I'm not Leonardo da Vinci. I'm not Michelangelo and shit. But let me show you cats what I mean by a freaking doggone cup and handle. If you follow this sucker down this way, this over here, and we stop around here and we come back down, that usually entails a cup and handle, which is kind of bullish, which means we'll run to the upside. That's kind of what it looks like. Let me go ahead and freaking stretch it out a little bit. Maybe it'll be a little bit more apparent. Now, these patterns, shit, what the, I screwed that up. I told you cats, I'm not a badass freaking artist and shit. In the event that this does happen and we run to the upside, our first area of resistance will be at, for reals, 0.01630. Now, I never imagined the day where we would consistently get the value of hex under a freaking 2 pennies continuously for multiple days. So in the future, when when Hex pumps, you can look back on these days and say, damn, man, I remember when freaking Hex was this cheap. Now, for you guys that don't know, E-Hex and P-Hex do have a certain feature that we could use, and that is the T-shares. And I would assume, I haven't checked on the P-Hex side, I would assume the T-shares are pretty freaking cheap right now, especially on the E-Hex side. I got a gut feeling that freaking the first crypto that's going to pump in the Hex ecosystem, a lot of people think it's Pulse Chain. Now, I believe it's going to be E-Hex. Why do I believe it's going to be E-Hex? Because it is a bitch to bridge over to the Pulse Chain side. Now, it would be dope if Pulse Chain was immediately available on freaking Coinbase and we could buy it there and just send it to our MetaMask wallet, get it native and shit. Hell, it would be freaking dope if we could get that sucker on KuCoin. But the first token that people can probably get their dirty hands on, including myself, my dirty hands on, would probably be E-Hex. And then as people progress and they become more advanced in DeFi, which I think that a lot of people will become in the future, we'll probably see people aping more into Pulse Chain. Now, note, I did state that I do believe freaking E-Hex will probably pump before P-Hex, before Pulse Chain. And the reason I say that is because it's easier to onboard. I never stated that Pulse Chain, that E-Hex would outperform Pulse Chain completely overall. I do believe that when we get our new all-time highs, it will be Pulse Chain that runs harder, especially as Richard Hart freaking starts pushing out more to freaking different communities. I'm sure you cats saw his freaking recent Twitter freaking posts where he was shilling freaking Bitcoin, wrap Bitcoin on freaking Pulse Chain side. He's been talking about Pepe. He's been talking about freaking ETH and things of that nature. I think as time progresses and people learn about the Pulse Chain ecosystem and how squared away it is and how strong the community is here, we'll probably get a lot of builders. Now, everybody and their mother is complaining about freaking Richard Hart not streaming. But then again, prior to that, everybody and their mother was complaining about freaking Richard Hart never freaking launching Pulse Chain. So the community's never really satisfied. They're never really satisfied on this issue. So I think in due time, we will probably end up getting a lot more adoption. If you look at his profile picture on Twitter, he's no longer Gucci'd out. He's no longer Versace'd out. He's a little bit more humble. He doesn't stream as much. He's a little bit more quiet. He talks less shit. Hence one of the reasons that I like the guy. I mean, hence why I like Floyd Mayweather. I like Conor McGregor. I like Donald Trump, because these cats talk shit and back it up. And hence why I like Richard Hart. Now, he's gotten a little bit more humble, and I think he's probably doing that because he's freaking trying to freaking appeal to the masses of crypto so they can come build on his network. Know what I mean? Of course, I would love to have DeFi Kingdoms over on freaking Pulse Chain. How dope would it be if Dragon's Crossing originally launched on Pulse Chain? I think that would be freaking off the chain. Me, on the other hand, I don't really like Clayton on freaking DeFi Kingdoms. Freaking Pulse Chain, I think, is a great freaking place to go. And I think it's a better option than Polygon for the most part, except because we've got a more fervent community. You know what I mean? Oh, well, sorry about that rant. I thought that was just freaking an interesting thought that I freaking had. And that's freaking McDonald's freaking coffee running full force in my system. Freaking trash. I probably won't go to bed till freaking 1, 2 in the morning. I'll probably hit up the gym after this shit. So back to the charts. We were looking at P-Hex. As stated, if this turns out to be a cup and handle, we probably will run to the upside. When you do have patterns in the crypto ecosystem, in the crypto charts, it doesn't mean 100% they'll play out. This could end up going to the downside. And proof of that, I'll show you cats in a minute what I mean by that. So we could run to the upside. We could go to the downside. Let me go ahead and erase this. I don't like this shit being all convoluted and you cats can't see what I'm talking about. If you see it run this way, notice that we don't have much support on either side. Support comes all the way down here to 0.00807. I don't think we'll freaking get down there unless freaking a black swan event occurs. Um, um, but if we do, I do intend to ape into freaking P hex. And if P hex falls hard, well, you know what's going to happen to E hex. It's probably going to go down even harder. And I really wouldn't worry too much about E hex unless we go to 20% of a penny. So enough of the freaking P hex chart. Let's move on to freaking the PulseX chart. And then we got Ivan from New Mexico. Same here, bro. I'm hitting the gym after you stream. It's leg day. Yeah, I get you, man. Leg day ain't never fun, man. I do I do train with a couple of boxers here locally where I'm at. I like going to the boxing gym a lot. And dude, jump roping for freaking 6, 7 rounds straight, man. That will put a strain on your freaking calves, dude. But it will give you hell of endurance, though. Give you that much. You know what I'm saying? Especially for you older cats that can't be running as much. Jump rope's always a great freaking option. It's always been a classic that I've always liked freaking working on. Let's see. Present. Share screen. Let's check out the PulseX chart. Let's see how this freaking bad boy is doing. And this is the PulseX chart. Now, I'm sure you cats probably think, what the freaking trash, man. Freaking Pulse Chain, freaking P Hex, and freaking PulseX all look the freaking same. Of course, they all look the same because they all launched on the same day. And they're all correlated to each other. And as per Hart's law, if one of them dumps, the rest of the ecosystem dumps with it. If one of them pumps, the rest of the ecosystem pumps with it. Now, as you can see, we don't have much support to the downside over here. We're currently at 4 zeros and a 3-0. The next area of support that we do have is down here. I like using the bottoms of the candles. Charlie likes using the freaking wicks. Is down here at 0.0002216. I think this token is the most overlooked token from all the other tokens in the Richard Hart ecosystem because Pulse Chain is a little bit more rare than PulseX, for the reason being that they had a lower sacrifice phase compared to freaking doggone PulseX. So this one's a little bit more common. Now, I've talked to a couple of Hexkins before, especially some wealthy ones, really wealthy ones. And I told them, well, I like the tokenomics on PulseX. I think it's extremely bullish. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, from my understanding, the way Richard Hart explained this freaking token is 100% deflationary, which means whatever is out there in supply overall, that's the only tokens that are going to exist. And then there's also a buy and burn function on the daily basis. People are burning PulseX. And I think this token's probably going to freaking pump a lot harder than freaking Uniswap when we come next bull run. Of course, I'm not saying we're going to overtake the price of freaking Uniswap, but I do think we're going to pump harder than Uniswap, and Uniswap's going to take notice. I think what will probably end up happening is so freaking, Uniswap could get more traffic. I would not be surprised on their drop down button. They're going to add the Pulse Chain ecosystem. So they get more traffic on their overall freaking, on their overall network, on their overall freaking website. So then they can talk some shit that they're outperforming freaking Hex and P Hex. Now, if you look down here on this side, you can see currently the fourth freaking top ranked freaking swap is Pulse Chain. Currently, Ethereum's still the highest, BSC is the second, and we got Arbitrum. And then under that, we got Polygon and Aptos and Optimism. I mean, these constantly have been battling it out. You know what I'm saying? But what I really like about this shit is that we can talk shit that we're above freaking Avalanche and we're above Solana. Know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So, as you can see, you can definitely draw a trend line from the top over here on freaking doggone PulseX, and it would support this area over here. You can see that it touches the top of these wicks, and it also touches the top of these wicks down here. And we've had a little bit of a breakout there. So then this would be a form of support. Know what I mean? So if PulseX does come down, and I think it probably will, but I don't think it may come down over here to 0.0002216. It'll probably respect this trend line, and it'll trend across it as it comes down in a downward fashion. Now, this purple line that we have down here, that is what you call your RSI. Of course, you guys heard me mention that earlier. And we are at A43. It's not a bad time to buy. I would slightly DCA into PulseX. I think that a good goal to have with PulseX is to become at least at minimal a squid. But of course, you've got to get your priorities straight. And what I mean by that is you should first probably work on your pulse chain. Get a good, decent bag of pulse chain, and then work on your P hex or E hex, whichever one you like, whichever one you think's gonna pump the hardest. I'm actually bullish on E hex. I like gathering more of that every time we dip. I don't think E hex is gonna end up dying out. Then I would focus on pulse hex. Now, I understand a lot of us are on a budget and things of that nature, but I think PulseX is a great token to acquire, and I think a good goal to have would be about 172,000. Why? Because at that category, you are a squid. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Now, if we activate our Bollinger Band, we are on the lower portion of the Bollinger Band over here, and we are on day 14 of the cycle for freaking PulseX. If we grab again our measuring tool and we push forward, well, this would be day 1, and we take this out over here to 20 days. Of course, it could be shorter than that. We'll probably get price action to the downside, either respect this trend line or end up hitting this resistance and trying to fight our way up. So again, as stated, this is not a bad time to buy freaking doggone PulseX. I'm sorry. So let's look at the chat. What do we got in the chat? And we still got Ivan from New Mexico talking about freaking it's leg day. You guys got any coin requests? I'd be more than welcome to hit them up. Know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Go earlier today. Large and Charge said that he made it. Kill. Glad you're here, man. We got Tex-Mex. ¿Qué onda, carnal? Ahora lo pinche Tex-Mex que hizo, vato. Metiéndole chingazos o qué, güey? Now, I've talked to this cat before. Tex-Mex. This is a hard-working motherfucker, man. This cat grinds it out daily on a regular basis, man, trying to make that dinero to ape into the frickin' Hex ecosystem and other tokens and shit. And then we've got freaking Ivan from New Mexico asking about Pepe. Let's check this out, man. I actually did have freaking Pepe on the list. But yeah, let's hit that one up first, man. Let's keep this shit interesting. We'll come back to E-Hex. You know what I'm saying? And then Large and In Charge was asking about ILV and Jewel. Pinche Large and In Charge, vato, I could tell that you like the freaking GameFi thing, man. Dude, I don't blame you, homie. GameFi is freaking off the chain, son. Speaking of which, I'm hoping you watched my stream on Dragon's Crossing as of recent. All right, let's go check out the Pepe chart as per the request of Ivan from New Mexico. Give me a second, cats. I'm going to get a little freaking sip of water. Little freaking sip of water so I can continue my stream. All my homies tell me, dude, why the frick you always drinking water and shit? Well, when I was in the Marine Corps, freaking drone instructors would freaking chew your ass if they found out freaking your urine was yellow. I mean, fun fact, right? Because if you pee yellow, if you urinate yellow, that actually means you're dehydrated. So they wanted to freaking make sure your freaking urine was fucking clear. Because if you dehydrate, then it's their ass on the line. So I developed that habit of always freaking drinking water. And my homies like, dude, drinking soda and shit. And like, dude, why you always drinking water, bro? I'm like, dude, I fucking love motherfucking water, son. Next to McDonald's coffee, water all day, every day. All right, let me see. We're talking about Pepe. Let me es que no lo puse aquí. Freaking trash. Let me get you cats Pepe. Let me get you cats Pepe. Bear with me. Freaking change this motherfucking Bitcoin chart into Pepe. Aquí estamos con Pepe. All right, let me share the screen for you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about. No pie hole in that ski mask, says Charlie. Laugh out loud. What you up to, the freaking Charlie? Let's see, son. Let's see. Freaking Charlie being a freaking smartass. No pie hole in that ski mask. Laugh out loud. Vamos a ver. Let's see. Of course, how can we freaking have this stream without having Charlie as a moderator? Thank you for being on board, sir. Thank you for checking out my stream. I'm going to show these cats the freaking Pepe chart. By the way, I picked up your freaking 20-day cycles, man, on freaking altcoins, and I picked up your freaking 60-day cycles in Bitcoin, and it has significantly improved my method of reading charts, son. Of course, I'm not on your same level. Hey, man, but I'm working on it, son. I'm working on it. Y aquí tenemos a Pepe. That means here we have Pepe. Now, if we look at Pepe, I was so proud of myself because of this shit. I went ahead and I figured out an Elliott wave. This is a long time ago, though. We came up to the upside. That was wave one. Came to the downside. Did a massive pump to the freaking to the upside. That was a 3. We came down to a 4. We pumped up to a 5, and then we came down for an ABC wave. And when I saw this immediately off the bat, and this is why I say, cats, that anytime you find patterns in a freaking chart, doesn't necessarily it doesn't mean it's going to play out. Hence why I have this freaking green flag here. So if you view this and it comes down, what do you think it is? You're thinking you're getting a freaking doggone bull flag, and you're thinking that you're freaking running to the upside. Of course, that wasn't the case. It did the opposite of what I expected. And we freaking trended sideways for a little while, and then we came down under the support level of 5 zeros and a 1-2, and then we broke out again. And this is where we're currently at. Now, what are you guys seeing here? Again, we're getting that freaking bull flag. Now, note, as stated, that doesn't necessarily freaking mean that doggone freaking that it's going to pump to the upside. We're getting that bull flag, and usually when you read patterns like this, it means we run to the upside. That's not guaranteed. Now, we do have areas of resistance, and let me show you, cats, where those are at. We do have some areas of resistance. Let me erase this shit first. Let me erase this shit first so it looks freaking nice and pretty for you cats. I don't like having freaking everything all convoluted and shit. Now, we do have some resistance to the upside. The recent high that we do have is this candle over here where I put this flag. So that would be a form of resistance. So if it was to pump up, let's say it would play out and we end up getting a freaking bull flag, this would be our first area of resistance. I think it's 5 zeros and a 2-0. And then our second area of resistance would be these two freaking candles over here, this bearish engulfing one and this greenish one here on this side. And that would be at 5 zeros and a 2-8. Know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Let's see. Where the hell is my shit at, son? I think I pressed something wrong on this bad boy. But yeah, that's what we immediately have. I didn't go ahead and count the 20-day cycles on these bad boys because I wasn't expecting to freaking hit up this chart too much. And I definitely don't want to do it live on stream because I don't want to bore the hell out of you cats. You know what I mean? So, freaking Large and in Charge was asking about freaking Jewel, one of my favorite tokens. And let's check this sucker out. Let's see how Jewel's doing. Stop screen, present. Let me get you cats Jewel on deck. Good charting with a teacher watching, bro. Freaking mechanics. Dude. Yeah, man. The only problem with that is when you got your teacher checking you out, dude. You want to make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's. You're not fucking anything up. You know what I mean? Well, let me show you Cat's freaking Jewel. Let me show you Cat's freaking Jewel. Bear with me. Now, Charlie, he usually likes using, I think it's CoinTrader.pro, but because I'm more familiar with freaking doggone TradingView, I found the best chart that I could find for Jewel on TradingView, and that's what I usually like to run with. Let me see if I can get it here for you cats right here. And as you can see, we are now running to the upside for Jewel. And let me tell you cats what I think happened as we came down. Let me just make sure that I'm freaking sharing this freaking screen. Present. Share screen. Let's get you cats Jewel for my amigo, large and in charge. Verify you cats are seeing what I'm seeing. All right. This is the Jewel chart. If you guys saw this, and note, this is on the daily. We're running to the downside. We ran to the downside hard, man. Really freaking hard. If we pull out our measuring tool, we ran to the downside pretty hard from this date, which is February 22nd to 23rd, all the way to over here, which is Thursday, June 15th. Now, why do I think this happened? Why do I think that this shit happened with Jewel? And this is just a theory, and this is what I believe. They were actually thinking about nerfing the Gen Zeros. Now, in my opinion, the most valuable thing you can have in DeFi kingdoms are the Gen Zeros. Why? Because they are the most rare items you can get in the game. And if you do get one of the original OG Gen Zeros, because of course there was expansion packs to the game, and I'd have to go look at the freaking chart of all the types of heroes there is. If you got some of the original ones, there was a limited time frame of how much you could breed them. So, for example, there was a 48-hour to a 72-hour cooldown, depending if you did 10 to 15 summons on them. So you could only print out so many freaking Gen 1s after that. So on their AMAs one time, I think Frisky Fox, he was talking about this shit. They were considering nerfing them and giving them more opportunities to breed on a faster level. When that occurred, well, what happened to the freaking Jewel chart? Everything started going in a downward fashion. People started dumping the token. Now, if you held Jewel, the badass thing about that, it gave you voting rights. And if you look at the freaking at the DeFi Kingdoms community, especially all the YouTubers, what did they do? They went ahead and they made videos that it was BS, that they shouldn't freaking nerf the freaking the Gen Zero heroes. And what did they do? They voted on it, and it was decided that they were not going to be nerfed. When that news came around, I think that's when we started pumping to the upside, and hence why we will continue going up. Now, we do have a shitload of freaking resistance. If we look this, let's check this out on the weekly. Let's check this shit on the weekly, son. First, let's check out the chat. Let's see how the chat's doing. Whichever has the whole story is good. Both may have it. Let's see. Let's see. Now, we do have resistance to the upside. Of course, the next area of resistance that we do need to compromise is 15 cents. And of course, we continue on 15 cents and we got 16 cents. If you look at this giant purple box that I had here, it's because the token was trending inside this box and it was constantly bouncing in it. So I viewed it as a strong area of support. So I started freaking getting concerned about this shit when they announced that crap, that the freaking Gen Zero is going to be nerfed. So when it came to the downside, I was sure it was going to bounce in this area or be above this range over here. And nevertheless, it didn't. And it bounced on this freaking box. And then we came to the downside. I do think freaking DeFi Kingdoms will do freaking badass. I think it will do exceptionally great. I think this is a token that you can acquire. Just note that the team sometimes does make decisions which I fully don't agree with all the time. But the badass thing is if you're holding a good amount of Jewel, what you can do, you can always place votes on it, and you could end up freaking making the token bullish if the community is embedded with that token. Now, let's check out freaking IOV, son. Let me set that freaking up for you cats. Let me set that up for you cats. Bear with me. Bear with me, amigos. Let's get you cats ILV. ILV. Here it is. Got this sucker prepped. Good. We got it. We got ILV. Share screen. And this is the ILV chart. Currently, our value is at $45.57. Our next area of support is down here to $40.74. I would slightly DCA in if I was to get this token, and I would freaking probably dollar cost average in harder if we came down here to 40 cents. But then again, all this depends as to where Bitcoin is, how Bitcoin is doing. And I do believe that Illuvium will do well. It's probably the most prominent project in GameFi, and it is a knockoff Pokemon. I know a lot of cats were getting into the Illuvatars and things of that nature and buying land. Unfortunately, I was a little bit more busy with other tokens. If we look at freaking Illuvium, we do have, if you see all these wicks up over here, you see here this top here, this and this higher, this lower high and this lower high and this lower high and this lower high, and then we have another lower high over here. You can draw a trend line on this sucker. As you can see here. And you may see Illuvium respect that or break out. So I think a good deciding point would be somewhere around here, around July 23rd. I did hear Charlie say that he expects freaking July to be bullish. So there is a decent chance we may break to the upside as far as freaking Illuvium goes. But this is a badass project to have. One of the cool things about Illuvium, and you cats can use this shit. If you guys use Coinbase and you guys got that new Coinbase card, and you have that Coinbase card, you can select XLM as a reward. I don't know if they're still rewarding you 4%, but you can end up swapping out that freaking XLM for some ILV. That's how I ended up getting my ILV, my position in ILV. I basically got it for free because every purchase I would make with that freaking Coinbase card, I'd get rewarded 4% in XLM, and I ended up swapping it for freaking Illuvium tokens. Now, if we go back to the Illuvium chart, which is pretty freaking cool for you guys that are barely getting into crypto or coming back, and you haven't seen what the all-time high in Illuvium is, if we go over here to the upside, we could see that our highest mark was around 1992, almost $2,000. This next coming bull run, we can probably pump up harder. Worst case scenario will probably be what, $3,000-$4,000 a token. So this is a good token to have. In my opinion, this is probably the Bitcoin of freaking of GameFi, and it is probably the most prominent project. Now, I did promise you guys that I would share the freaking doggone EHEX chart. And I'm going to go ahead and freaking make do on that shit. But first, let's check out the chat. Ivan from New Mexico. Those Gen Zeros on DeFi Kingdoms are money printers if you can get one. Yeah, they can be. They can be money printers. I intend to do a video on that, on how to check your Gen Zero, see which Gen Zero matches with other Gen Zeros. If you can get two, dude, you can infinitely print freaking Gen 1s. But you do need freaking materials in the game that you do need to harvest. So you need to have cats in the freaking mine. You need to have individual, some of your heroes freaking working the gardens and shit. because some of those tokens you're required to use to go ahead and fricking do another summon. Or am I talking about the hatching of the eggs? Yeah, quote me on that. I think you just need whatever token. For example, if you're trying to do it on the Clay network, you need more Clay tokens to go ahead and do a summon with the Gen Zeros and stuff like that. And then there's like stones that you can get. And these stones, what they do, they give certain perks to your Gen Zero. So whatever you ended up breeding ends up coming out stronger and he can be more valuable. Now, one of the things that you could look at are the mythics. I think the two most valuable things you can get in DFK are your Gen Zeros and your Gen 1 mythics, especially the virgins. The Gen 1 mythics that are the virgins, those are going to be super valuable. So right now, I haven't checked what the value of some of those freaking mythics are, but those are good freaking, those are some good freaking NFTs to end up swapping in the future. The Gen Zeros are money printers. If I remember correctly, the last bull run, Gen Zeros were what, at about freaking $42,000 a pop, give or take. So if GameFi really takes off and it freaking does badass, I can freaking end up seeing those Gen Zeros freaking getting to about half the value of a low end freaking Bored Ape Yacht Club. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, those Gen Zeros are bullish, and right now is not a bad time to get one. You know what I'm saying? Or save up a little bit of money and get your hands on one. And then convince your homie that's into freaking crypto, like what I did. Some of my homies, they're into crypto as well. I got them to freaking get their own Gen Zero. So what do? We end up freaking breeding a shitload of Gen Zeros. Now, let me show you cats the freaking hex chart. I'm talking about the E-hex chart. Let me prep for that. Let me prep that for you cats. Let's go over here to the E-hex chart. If you guys hear freaking that noise in the background, it's my freaking dog Noveski tearing shit up, of course. Mind you, the chart I am going to show you is rather convoluted, man. Because this is one of the first charts I started doing TA on. Let's see. Share screen. I know this is freaking, this chart looks like shit, man. This chart looks, look at that, man. Look at that. So, freaking trash, dude. Look at that shit. So that's what the hex chart looks like on the weekly. And I drew this support resistance line from this side all the way up over here. And they do match up. Let's look at it on the daily. See how it's doing on the day. Of course, it looks convoluted as hell. Present. And these spots were the areas that I bought some freaking hex. I do intend to buy some more, or where I bought hex a little bit more heavy. I have been nibbling on hex right now. Hex, E-hex is actually at a good price to buy. I'll probably end up getting a little bit more because I do think this token is going to do relatively well. And I do believe this token will probably pump first compared to everything in the Hex ecosystem or the Pulse Chain ecosystem because this is the easiest one to grab. Know what I mean, Jelly Bean? And we came to the downside. Currently, Hex's value is at 0.0 at 79% of a penny. Again, as stated, I really wouldn't worry about this too much unless we get down to 20% of a penny. But I think freaking E-hex is going to do fine. And mind you, if E-hex goes too low, that's also going to have an immediate effect on P-hex. Oh, yeah. So, you cats got any questions? You're like, Jack and shit, Boogie. We ain't got shit. Well, thanks, cats, for coming out to my stream. Freaking my McDonald's coffee's freaking wearing off and shit. Appreciate you guys coming out. My fetch AI request. Curious to see what you see. Okay, we got Charlie here asking for fetch.ai. Charlie testing my skills, son. Charlie testing my skills. Let's check that out. Let's check that out for the Grandmaster Charlie, Technical Analysis Grandmaster. Before we go, let's look up Fetch AI, son. Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver, amigo. Let's look up fetch.ai. Make sure I'm sharing my screen here. Let's see. Let's look at fetch.ai. Charlie, I'm assuming we could probably see this on freaking CoinTrader Pro, right? I'm not CoinTrader Pro. I'm sorry, freaking doggone Trading View. AI. And let's see the sucker on the Bitstamp. Prepping this sucker. Present, share screen. And this is fetch.ai. And we got it on the daily. Immediately off the bat, I see that we can establish some trend lines right here. Here, give or take. And it has come up. I don't see an Elliott wave here to the upside when we were in this area on Friday, December 22nd. And then we came to the upside. Fetch.ai, man. I've never really freaking looked into this token. Charlie, this token sounds boring, though. All right, how much have we come to the downside with fetch.ai? We take this measuring tool, we go to the bottom side, and we hit here. We've gone down about freaking doggone 71% overall. But our current rate, where we're currently at from the recent freaking local high, we've come down, we're down about 60%, give or take. If we put our relative strength indicator on this sucker, let's check out the RSI on this sucker. Of course, I hate this freaking yellow line. Fetch.ai, if you look at the RSI on this sucker, bear with me. I wouldn't be buying it right now for the reason being that's above 50. And we can establish some, I wouldn't say we got some trend lines here. Maybe some trend lines here in this fashion. So it could come down to the downside, give or take. Ballpark. And let me use another tool I haven't used in a while. Let's go with the MACD. Haven't seen this sucker in a while. The MACD. Moving average convergence divergence. Let me close this sucker out. And we got MACD here. I do think that we should wait on it. I think once the red line crosses the freaking blue line, that would probably be a good time to buy. This is one of the first tools I learned how to use, the MACD. And then I went to the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. And of course, we've got our other moving averages over here, which I can't fucking access right now because freaking Trading View is acting stupid, including my freaking EMA ribbon. It's fine for the daily. Fetch that use on Binance is better. And we got Charlie saying fetch.ai USDT on Binance is better, but this is fine for the daily. Cool, man. Cool. All right, cats. My dog's going nuts. He's looking at me like, hey, you better feed me, motherfricker. And I better get him some chow. I appreciate you guys coming out to my freaking stream. I'm considering maybe doing another one tomorrow. Hopefully I can fix this damn Trading View shit where I can see my moving averages. And we'll get a little bit better chart reviews. We'll talk a little bit about freaking what Richard Hart is doing. The coins he's chilling, which is kind of weird. He's chilling Pepe and he's chilling freaking wrapped Bitcoin on freaking doggone on Pulse Chain. We'll look into that. We'll see what's going on. Oh, and note, I wonder, this is my opinion, I wonder with the shit that's going on in Ukraine and Russia, all that stuff that's going on over there with the freaking coup they had, I'm expecting that to have an effect on the market in the future. I mean, God forbid we have some freaking black swan event occur in that area. That'll probably make Bitcoin go to the downside. So keep your eyes open to that. Now, no, we still don't have the freaking Fed meeting till doggone, if we see here, till about July 25th or 26th. We got a good ways to run. So, in my opinion, freaking, we'll probably end up freaking going to the upside, and July will end up being bullish. If you cats know how to freaking do some freaking immediate trading, you can make some money by flipping Bitcoin, in my opinion, especially as we approach the freaking end of the 60-day cycle. But I appreciate you cats coming out, and let's see if I do a stream tomorrow. Charlie, thank you for freaking checking out what's going on in my stream. Say what's up to Miguel for me. And hopefully I see all you cats up in freaking Vegas. Peace.